everyone, it's Rebecca, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about seasons of the homeschool year. So I read something several years ago that said everyone wants to quit in November and February talking about homeschooling, and I've found that to be pretty true. And so I think that if we know something is a season, we know that it's going to come to an end at some point, and so that helps us. And if we know this season is coming, it helps us to be able to prepare for it, right? So if you know winter is coming, you want to prepare for that by making sure you have a good source of heat, by making sure you have plenty of food on hand, by having your winter clothes out and ready so you can prepare for that. But you also know that winter is eventually going to come to an end and spring is going to be there, right? So it helps you get through that difficult season. So I want to talk to you a little bit about that and how the homeschool seasons also correlate with the outside seasons. So it may look a little bit differently where you live, because your seasons are probably going to be a little bit different than mine. But I'm just going to tell you what I've observed over the years in our 15 years of homeschooling and how it works out for us. And I've talked to several moms over the years. A lot of them have felt similar things as I have, so I think it just helps to name things and put them out there. And like I said, it helps you prepare for them and know that eventually that will come to an end. So it is July here, and we are getting prepared to start our homeschool year. This is usually when we start is sometime in July, maybe the first week of August, but I like to typically get going in July because it is extremely hot here in the South, and nobody really wants to be outside unless you're in a swimming pool or a sprinkler. And so the kids are miserable, they're bored out of their minds, they're aggravating each other and stuff. And so we like to get started with school. I usually have gotten all my stuff late spring or in the summer. I have like one more thing coming in, I think, but that's going to be for co-op, so it's fine. I don't need it quite yet. So we've got all our things in. I prepared, usually at the end of the school year, I'm preparing for next year, what we want to accomplish and what we want to do, so that I can get my books ordered and stuff. So I have everything ready, and we will be getting started with that. We don't start our co-op until August, so some of the subjects we won't be doing yet, like science, they're not going to be doing yet. So that's a little bit less of a load. If we want to pick up and do a little more in some subjects, we can, because I know that when we start co-op, we're going to have a 4-day school week, because we do not do our book work on co-op days. We just leave that for co-op, and we don't do our other book work. We do those the other 4 days of the week. So if I need to catch up on a few things or get a little bit ahead in something, we can go ahead and do that in these weeks that we're not having our co-op. So when you first get started, everything's new. You're excited to start, or I think moms are. The kids aren't always, but you want to you're ready to get into a new routine and get them started and get them going. All right, so we've got our new books. We're ready to get started on this new school year. We're ready to get into these books. Keep in mind that it can be a little bit overwhelming at first. You know, sometimes us as moms, us as parents, we get excited. We have these high expectations. We give this stuff to our kids, and they act like they've never seen it before, and they get so overwhelmed. And so keep that into consideration. It's not unusual for somebody to cry the first day or the first few weeks of school. It might even be you. So keep that in mind. It happens. You're with your kids. You're just trying to establish this new routine, learn all these new curriculums. So just keep that in mind as you get started on your new year of school. It may not go exactly how you want, but you'll get into the routine and it'll do really well. All right, so we're off and running our first few weeks of school, and then we're going to be moving into August, and our co-op is going to get started. So like I said, we'll be going to 4 days a week with that. So we're going to adjust a little bit with that. We're going to get going. The kids are going to be excited because they get to see their friends. We're moving along. We've kind of started to get in the groove with our homeschooling curriculum. They know what to expect each day, so we're going along with that. Moving into co-op, other social activities that may be starting. The schools in our area will be getting started back. So everybody's going to be kind of in a routine at this point, because they're friends that they go to church with and things like that. So we get through August. It's still really hot. It's nice to be inside doing schoolwork. Now we're moving into September, October. Here where we are, it starts getting really nice in September and October. So that's a great time to plan a vacation for a homeschooler, because not many people are out. The weather is super great. We've gone to the beach before in September, and it was really nice because, like I said, it's still warm enough to swim and everything, but it's not just miserably hot out. And so that's something you may want to think about, is planning a vacation during that time. Also, when my kids were little, we would try to do extra park days and stuff like that because it's just beautiful to be outside and be in nature and things like that. So, we've started school so early in July that we have that time to take off. So now we're moving into November. Everything is starting to get a little stale, right? We've been doing the schoolwork for a couple of months now. Everybody knows the routine. They're kind of getting tired of things. And what we typically do is we take off the whole week of Thanksgiving because we often host Thanksgiving at our house. Last year, we even had 2 Thanksgivings at our house on different days. So we're cleaning, we're cooking, we're getting everything ready. I don't have the mental space to be doing schoolwork at that time either. So we take that week off. And then those few weeks between Thanksgiving and Christmas break can be really difficult because it feels like you've stopped and you're getting into this holiday mode, and then you kind of have to go back into schoolwork. And so, it might be fun to add in a few Christmas things there, like read some Christmas read alouds. I know there's a lot of stuff about Christmas around the world. You can see how different cultures do different things for Christmas. But what we typically do is we may school a week or 2 there after Thanksgiving, and then we are going into full holiday mode. Like I just don't have the mental space to do all the Christmas things and school stuff. And we typically make a lot of Christmas gifts for our friends and family. There have been times that we've made stuff and sold it, and so we would have to meet people and get that to people. We're going to be doing a lot of baking. We're going to be preparing for Christmas, just trying to do some fun activities and crafts and different things like that. We like to make, there's time we've made gingerbread houses and gingerbread cookies and decorated those and stuff like that. So we're going to be moving into all things Christmas, going to look at Christmas lights. I just love to take off those usually at least 3 weeks or so of Christmas right there. When I was growing up, my mom took off the whole month of December. And so, because she made a lot of things to sell at Christmas time. And so she was in that mode of making and selling stuff and getting it to people as well. So that's how we do it. And then we enjoy Christmas. We have a great Christmas. All right, so once Christmas is over, we are going to be having that week after Christmas. A lot of times my kids will go to like youth conferences and things like that. Or when they're younger, I'm letting them play with their toys. It's just kind of a chill week for them. And then for me, I'm usually kind of revamping for the next year. That's my time that I start cleaning up all the Christmas stuff, getting it out of the way. I start kind of getting some stuff out of the house that needs to be cleaned out and cleared out. I start thinking about what we're going to do this year in our homeschool year. We, the 1st of January, we start evaluating our goals, whether it's homeschool, personal life, things like that. And so that's what we're going to do the 1st of January. And then we typically get started the very first week of January that is going on because we've had that nice 3-week break. We're ready to get back into a good routine again. And so we get started with our schoolwork. And here, January is not terribly bad. I know some people have a really hard time in January. I actually really like January. We still have a lot of sunny days here. We'll have some cold days, but then a lot of times we have some days in the 60s or 70s, so we can get out and enjoy those as well. And so January, it's not too bad. So we're just kind of getting back in the school mode again, getting back in the groove. And then February hits. So to me, in this area, especially February is the most difficult month. And, thank goodness it's the smallest month, right? And so, but I think one of the reasons is there's not, a lot to do. It's cloudy outside. It's wet. Typically here in our area, it is wet. We have had years where it has rained like the entire month of February. I mean, almost not every day, but almost every day. And it's just miserable. It's soggy. It's nasty. And it's depressing. And, at this point, as far as the schoolwork goes, you're kind of over it. You're tired of it. You don't want to do it anymore. Those books are getting long. You've gone over the same thing over and over again on some of it. Or maybe you're learning some new concepts that are really hard and you're just tired and you don't want to do it. But, you're already inside a lot. So it is good to go ahead and push through and get that stuff done. But I find it really good to prepare for this a little bit ahead of time. So one way we might do that is we might be watching a lot of movies this week or this month. I might save some movies that I've wanted the kids to see till February, and maybe we'll do our bookwork and then we'll just snuggle up and watch a movie and drink some hot chocolate or whatever. Game schooling is a thing. If you haven't heard of that, that you can get into. Like so many games like teach your kids really good concepts, you know, like think about like apples to apples. They're learning a lot about words and things like that. That's a good one. There's so many games. There's a lot of there's like a Facebook group for like game schooling if you want to get into that. I know a lot of times my kids get a lot of games for Christmas, so this is a fun time to bring those out if you haven't played. So movies, game schooling. If you maybe there's some local museums in your area that you haven't gotten around to seeing, or in the surrounding areas, this would be a great time to go do that. Maybe even get some friends together, go to a museum, get out of the house, do something fun. There's been times where we've tried to prioritize that time to like go see family members that we haven't got to see in a while. So I know, especially if it's an older person, they get depressed in the winter too, and it's just nice to see people and talk to them and chat with them and things like that. And another thing is one year we were having an especially difficult year. It rained so much that February. It was so depressing. We were having some issues with our house, just some other things going on, and it was very much a struggle. And so what I started doing is on Fridays I would load my kids up. Hey, get all your school books together, and there was a local coffee shop about 15-20 minutes away. We would go there. They have these nice big tables out in the front area, and I would just order everybody a hot chocolate, and we would sit there and they would do their schoolwork, and it was a change of scenery. It was so nice. And then in the back area they had a bunch of couches set up, and so I would just take the kids back there when they got done with their book work, and we would do our read alouds. And it was so nice. There wasn't a lot of people that would come in the coffee shop. The people that were there were just really nice and kind to us, and so that really helped us get through February that year. We even met some friends there one day, and they hung out with us and stuff. So if you can just think of little small things to, you know, change up the routine, to get it out, get yourself out and do some stuff like that, it's fun. Another thing that we did one year, and my mom used to do this when we were homeschooling. There wasn't a lot of co-ops at that time, so she would plan parties and stuff like that, and she would always plan a Valentine's Day party. It was always a big hit. So one year when we were not in a co-op, I planned a Valentine's Day party with just our local people on one of our Facebook groups in the area, and we ended up having like 60 people come to this Valentine party. I was like amazed, and I think everybody just wanted to get out and do something fun with their kids. So you know, think about planning something like that. You can do games, you can do Valentine's. It's a fun time. So definitely just keep that in mind about February, or maybe it's a different month for you, but keep it in mind and prepare ahead of time for that. And then we're moving into March here. So March, we're starting to get ready for planting season. If we're doing a garden, we may have started some seeds in February, or we're getting started with them in March. So there's that little hint of spring in the air, you know, even outside here. You start feeling, oh, spring is coming, spring is coming. And you get excited about that. There's usually a spring break. You know, we don't typically go on vacation during spring break, but some people do. And we'll have that break in our co-op on spring break and that sort of thing. So you can kind of feel the end is near, you know. And then April is when we kind of really get going with the garden. Sometimes we have baby chicks. March and April is when we do lambing season here. So we're having lambs come in and things like that. And we typically finish up the middle of April. That's when our co-op ends as well. And at that point, I'm pretty much over it. You know, I've been schooling off and on since July, and I'm ready for it to be done. So we kind of finish up our books, get done what needs to be done. You know, if there's a lot left in the book, maybe we can double up, or maybe we can just not do some of the extracurricular things that are in the book, and we're just going to get those finished, and we're going to be done. So when I first started homeschooling, I would typically we would school through the summer just to keep the kids in the routine, because small children, that tends to work well for them just to stay in some kind of routine. But as the years went on, I eventually realized that I needed the break. And I think they did as well. And so there's going to be a transition here, and you have to realize that they're going to be going from doing this schoolwork every day to not having those several hours of you keeping them busy. And they tend to, some of them don't know what to do with themselves because they're used to being in a routine. They like routine. They like structure most of the time. And so there's going to be an adjustment period there. And you need to realize that if you're, you know, you've been home with them all this time, you do this, and now it's like, oh, you can just go do your own thing. Sometimes they really like it. So one of my kids is super creative, and I found with him when we would stop doing schoolwork, it would just bring out his creativity, and he would be building stuff and making stuff and doing comics, and it was almost like he was still schooling himself in a way, and learning on his own because he was able to do that. And then some of my kids, it's not like that at all. They don't know what to do with themselves without the structure. So just realize there's going to be an adjustment period there. I know some people like to do workbooks and things like that in the summer. I don't necessarily love to do that because it's one more thing that I have to make my kids do. And so, and I, like I said, I want the break. I need the break. So like this year I had a list for them, and they were working on typing and learning a language and things like that. But it just took 15-20 minutes. Then I want to make sure, we did the reading program at our library and things like that. So I definitely want to make sure they're not just sitting around playing video games or something all day long. You've got to get outside, do your chores. You've got to go get some exercise in, get some sunshine in, things like that. But once you do those things, then your time is your own, unless I'm needing some help with something. So projects around the house that are great to do during the summertime because you're not thinking about school. So if you want to paint the house, if you want to work on making curtains or whatever it is, there's times that we have gone and sold at the farmer's market during the summertime, and I think that is a highly, highly educational thing to do. They're learning about how to run a business, counting money, interacting with people socially. We would do a lot of baked goods, so they would do those and have to package them and price them and things like that. So super educational, and it helps to have that time off to use your creative space for other things. So that's just kind of how we do it, how our years have gone over the year. I noticed that they're kind of the same every year. And like I said, we get to that April, I'm ready to plant my garden. I'm ready to be outside. I don't want to do the books anymore. And, please remember that there is value in other things besides bookwork. I highly value books, and I'm thankful that we have textbooks, and we use textbooks every year. But there's other means of education, right? So sometimes when you take breaks like that, your kids really dig into something else and they want to learn about it. And maybe they're watching YouTube videos about whatever it is they're doing, and whatever it is they're into that time. And so they're learning. Kids are always learning whether you realize it or not. Also wanted to mention to be flexible, right? You don't know what's going to come up. I mean, we're doing home and school here, and it's a little bit different from the school system. And so sometimes you need to take breaks for things. Sometimes there is someone that's sick in the family that you need to take care of. Maybe you've had a baby, and you need to take some time off for that, and that's okay. Relationships are always, in my opinion, it's always relationships over books. Those books are going to be there for you. And like I said, I am not against textbooks at all, but let's keep things into perspective, right? There's some people that aren't going to be there. You've got parents that your kids have got grandparents that might be sick. They need to spend time with them, and it doesn't matter if you get the schoolwork done that day. Those books are going to be there. You can catch up. You can do, if you think you're behind, you can catch up. You can do two years in 1 year if you need to. That is possible if for some reason you had to take a whole year off. But maybe you've got family coming into town that you haven't seen, and you're wanting your kids to hang out with them, and they're there for 2 weeks and you haven't planned off time. Take the time off, go spend it with these people. I guarantee you they're going to learn so much from being around their friends, their cousins from other places, their aunts and uncles. They're going to learn so much from them. And so, let's keep it in a healthy perspective. Obviously, we wouldn't want to just do that all day, every year. But I think there's just so much value in relationships and other people, and investing in that time as well. So keep that in mind as you're homeschooling, that there are seasons come to an end. Let's prepare for the things that are coming, and let's just do the best we can with our kids to maintain our relationships with our kids as well. If it's not working, figure something out, change it up, go to the park that day instead. If you're having a rough day, we have rough days. Us moms have rough days. Kids have rough days. So sometimes you just got to value the relationship with your child over the books as well. So keep that in mind. I hope these tips helped. I hope you can kind of work into your own routine and seasons throughout the homeschool year. If you have any other tips that have helped you through difficult seasons or just maybe really busy seasons, please put those in the comments below because we can all learn from each other. And thanks so much for watching.